Hello, good morning. Well, the weather's not too bad at the moment, so I thought I'd get out, get my walk done. A bit earlier than I do normally, but by God, it's cold. Well, it's that time of year now. We're into December. Everything went okay, miraculously enough, with my bloods yesterday, so I can crack on doing this. So I had a good and interesting question by Superior Inferiority in the comments section on my, I think it was my last video. Yeah, it will have been. And he asked, when does an indie game studio become a AAA? Which is an interesting question. Because most studios are going to start out indie. You know, at some point, Electronic Arts, Activision, many of these studios were small, independent studios, and they grew. Some still are, technically. Not the huge ones, but some studios that have had huge success have remained independent. What's interesting to know is that prior to them being purchased by Disney, Lucasfilm was an independent movie studio. Well, the flooding's back. Oh well, it's not very clever, is it? I think part of the problem is not just leaves, it would appear to be now the actual shape of the path, undulations in it and stuff. Yeah, it's actually very deep. I think they need to resurface it. Well, they tried. I did think that clearing the leaves out of there would have been sufficient, but obviously not. Oh, sorry, nose is giving me jip, so quite busy on the lane this morning. It is a very interesting topic, and I think it will, to some extent, come down to definitions. On the surface, it is quite simple. Independent should literally be a studio that is self-maintained, self-run, and not part of a much larger organisation, self-publishing, and so on. But definitions change and complexities are introduced into all of these things sometimes. So, oh God, that wind's biting. We'll try and get into it a bit more in the park, but yeah. You know, we'll turn around. There's a squirrel hiding. Anyway, I'll see you in the park. Yeah, here we are. Anyhow, superior inferiorities question. I think perhaps the golden rule with it is to say any publisher that is unsigned, developer that's unsigned to a particular publishing studio. You couldn't say that Hello Games wasn't an independent studio, but Sony distributed, I'm pretty sure they did, pretty sure Sony distributed No Man's Sky. They either distributed it or they injected a certain amount of cash into the project. They certainly were giving it a boost when they unveiled the PlayStation 4. But Hello Games were, and as far as I'm aware, still are an independent studio unless they have signed with Sony. So I think a rule as unsigned, they can use any publisher they choose. They're not either owned or signed up to any particular studio. And I do think that's probably the best way to describe it in the sort of current day. The current day setup, that's how I would describe it. A studio that's unsigned, development team that has not signed over to a publisher and they either self-publish or they just use a publisher to get their games out there. I mean, Concerned Ape, he's an indie developer, but wasn't Stardew distributed via Chucklefish? So you would say, yeah, they were indie developers, all right. Is it Ray Barone? I always get his name confused with the guy out of Everybody Loves Raymond. I think he's Ray Romano, isn't he? But isn't his character Barone in the show? But you know what? I'm going to have a look. I am actually going to do a little search in a sec when I get down here. I'm going to have a look on my phone because it's driving me mad. Just thinking about it. It's that thing I always say, I always have like this mental block with certain things. It's funny, I get it from my dad. He was the same. He would always say Stephen King instead of Stephen King. That's what he says all the time. It's like, Dad, it's Stephen King. And no matter how many times he will say, and I'm the bloody same now, aren't I? Let me have a look here. Oh, your camera's at a weird angle. Oh, go away. Your year in Wiki. Eric Barone, there we go. Bloody Ray Barone. As I say, that's Everybody Loves Raymond. So I think his character is Ray Barone. This is Eric Barone. And but I'll tell you what now, I can guarantee by the end of my walk today I'll have forgotten. I'll be calling him Ray Barone again. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much a one-man band. I know he did hire some people to help with regards to the netcode, I think, for Stardew when he put the multiplayer element into it. But yeah, I mean, that guy's amazingly talented. I mean, he did the game, the graphics, the soundtrack. That is one awesomely talented individual. But yeah, I mean, that is your sort of classic example of a developer. It's an early start. So, yeah, I think you can define it in essence as being somebody who is unsigned, isn't part of a large publisher / distributor. In the music industry, indie bands were basically unsigned acts, like they weren't with a major record label. But then that became quite nebulous because major record labels then took over or introduced their indie label. It's kind of like Hollywood movie studios back in the day would have, your major studios would have a subsection, and that subsection would release small independently made movies. But however, a major movie studio owned the distributor, but you would still classify it as an indie movie. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure back in the day, like Fox Searchlight was the one that distributed the smaller, more independently created films. And I'm pretty certain there were others as well. Wasn't like Clerks was an indie movie, but that ended up being distributed by the Weinstein Company. God, that's probably got my video banned on it now, and YouTube saying that. But that was an indie movie. I mean, Kevin Smith self-financed that. I think he said, was it $30,000 he maxed out credit cards to make that film. So, you know, that's son. Lovely. You know, you would argue, therefore, that, you know, with what truly is indie, I think that you just have to go to the fact that it's somebody who's unsigned, particularly in the gaming space, the music space. Say, movies is a little bit more nebulous, well, it used to be. It's very hard to define. But certainly, from a musical perspective, it was unsigned bands. And you might get an organisation or a small label that would release the film. But generally speaking, it was unsigned. They were unsigned. And I think you could apply the same, therefore, to games. It's about as good as I can think. Just simply because it's so difficult. And there's so many companies have so many subsidiaries these days. It's like everybody, you know, companies are owned by other companies, which are owned by other companies, and it's like, if you trace it back, it probably all goes to one big ass investment, or, you know, one of these major international corporations that are always the subject of conspiracy theorists. You know, they'll all go back to somebody like that. There's probably like 5 people in the world that ultimately own everything. So again, it's fun conspiracy theories. I like listening to them. They are fun and entertaining. Now, whether they're right or not, well, that's debatable. It's interesting, like when I first come out and doing these videos, I'm so mindful of the fact that I'm sniffling a lot because it's cold. But once I've been out for a bit and I kind of acclimatise, it stops. My nose stops running. Thank God. So yeah, I apologise for sniffling. It's just, there's not really a lot I can do about it. If I stick tissues up my nose, I'm going to look like a lunatic. And then on top of all of that, not only am I going to look like a lunatic, but I'll sound even like remarkably nasally because my nose will be blocked, which won't be clever. But it's unnaturally busy in here today, which always makes it annoying when you have to edit. You're always having to sort of edit around people. I try to respect, even though it's a public space, I do try to respect the fact that people in general don't like being caught on camera, so I try to remove them as best as possible. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. And then we're going to have to edit. I'm going to have to go around here. I'm going to have to do some editing around here as well. So, but yeah, I think that pretty much covers that side of things. What's the difference? I just think it's about whether you signed up to a major publisher or not these days. It's about as best as I can go with it. Let's have a look at the path. Right, so I hope that helped answer the question. I mean, it's not a definitive because it's just an opinion. It's all I've got on the subject. And yeah, there we go. When does a indie studio become AAA? when they're signed up to a AAA studio. Right, what's next on the agenda? Games I've been playing. I think we'll do that. Euro Truck Simulator 2. They've had the Nordic Horizons DLC which came out. I love that. That and American Truck Simulator. There's something really cathartic about just driving a truck long distances. I guess, you know, when you kind of get to that age where hectic shooters, when you just don't have the reaction times anymore. I can't play them all day. I can do them in like small amounts, but I can't play them all day like I used to. So it's nice to be able to play that, and I enjoy that game. It's you wouldn't think that just driving around in a truck for miles would be that entertaining, but it's actually pretty good. It's very scalable in terms of realism. Now I do have a wheel and pedals, but I can't use them at the moment. But even with the joypad, it's still, you know, once you've got it set up okay, it's pretty good. But I have played it with the wheel and the pedals, and it was awesome. It was really, really good fun. So there's that. I've been playing quite a bit of that. And I've pretty much completed all there is to do so far in Cleared Heart. That's really good fun. Nice throwback to the Strike games that were on the Mega Drive and other 16-bit machines back in the day. And then of course you had the couple of games that came out on the PlayStation before they just stopped making them. I tell you what I was looking at as well, and I think a thing that EA could do that would make them a lot of money is to remaster or just re-release on modern systems their Medal of Honor games. Now you can get Allied Assault and Pacific Assault. I think they're on GOG and probably on EA's own outlet. I can't see them on Steam, but I know you can get them on GOG because I've got them there. But there was a lot of ones that they released on console that could do with being re-released. Frontlines was brilliant. I had that on the PS2. I remember being so excited when that was coming out because it just looked like one step above. I had the original Medal of Honor and Medal of Honor Underground. Is it Underground or was it Resistance? It was the one anyway, the sequel to it on the original PlayStation, and they were brilliant. But Frontlines was just like, you know, it was one of them games that was a cut above everything else that came out at the time in terms of a first-person shooter on a console, in my opinion. The graphics were great. Gameplay was awesome. And it ran really well on the PlayStation too. And I really missed that game. And it's like, come on, why are you not going after the easy money that's sat right in front of you, EA? I mean, it literally is. It literally is sat right in front of them there. You don't, like I say, you don't always need to do a build ground up, bloody hell. You don't always need to do a ground up remaster. I don't mean ground up as in put in a blender or something and then that'll be blended. I mean like from the base up using new game engines. No, just make the one that's already there work on the current systems. That's all you need to do. Just make it work on the modern systems. Tighten the controls for the new controllers. That's all. Call it a remaster if you want. That's all. Easy money. Minimum amount of time required to do it. And just put it out there. I would totally buy it. You know, there's others as well. I mean, like I say, the Allied Assault and Pacific Assault were like the PC releases around that time. But there was a few. There was one with a Medal of Honor Airborne, wasn't there, where you were a paratrooper. And then there was, what was the other one? It was I could look, I suppose. There was another one where you were fighting in the Pacific, not Pacific Assault, like I say, because it was on PC. Rising Sun, that was it. That was really good. I remember getting that one Christmas. That Christmas, though, I had like the world's worst cold throat infection or something. I was starting to come down with it while I was at work, and we finished for Christmas. And I woke up like Christmas Day morning. I was so ill with this thing. I just remember sort of lay there playing it. I absolutely loved it. It was a good game. That was on the original Xbox. But again, where is it? Where are these games, EA? Same with your Strike games. Where are they? Why are you not wanting to make easy money? You don't have to remake them. Just remaster them so they work on new systems with the new controllers. That's all you have to do. It's not massively time consuming or difficult. We've just seen, that was another one I started to play yesterday because it came out and I had ordered it. I'd done an advanced order a while back, which was Blood, and they've updated that to work with, work better on new systems, work with a controller if that's your fancy with it. They've not gone in and made massive changes. They've not remade it from the ground up. They're not using new game engines and stuff, and it's great. If you want to play that game, you wouldn't really be wanting to play it that's entirely different to how you remember it. The point of nostalgia is that you revisit the things that you enjoyed years ago. I wish that I could get the Doom, the PlayStation Doom, out there. I've had a look at the mods on the Bethesda release on PC, and some claim to be, they'll say PSX Doom. It's not. It's not. The sound effects are. In some cases, the music is, but unfortunately, the graphics are not. The PC graphics, they're not the PlayStation ones. They don't have the lighting. The levels are not the it's just not. It's not the PlayStation. Basically, is what I'm saying. So. There they are, getting them over a bit. Nice, nice big puddle here. That's good, isn't it? Let's go this way. Let's see if we can get around here. it's hard to know where the path starts. Actually, there is where the path starts. So, yeah. So, but yeah, again, I say it's easy money, and these companies claim they're struggling. Well, just release a bundle, don't you? Get it out there. Yeah, EA. I know I do keep banging on about it, but it's easy money for them, and I think they're insane for not engaging with it. They have it on the table right there, and all they have to do is just remaster them, just get them out there, take advantage of it. I think if they released a Strike collection of all their Strike games, they just work on modern systems, consoles and PC, I genuinely think it would do a really good amount of business. Straight up, honestly do. I think it would do really well. Like, if you think about like all of the gaming, it's not just EA, is it? It's like, think about, and it's not licensing either. With some of them I can understand licensing issues, but those games, Road Rash, they don't have licensing issues because there was nothing licensed in it. The motorbikes in Road Rash were all made up. They weren't Hondas and Kawasaki's, they were Katanas and something else. I can't remember what the Italian one was. But they were like made up names. They weren't the real thing. So they could do it. But it's like, again, why would they be bothered about the monetization aspect of it? That's my thing, because why would you be worried about, well, we can't keep charging DLC and all this and season passes? Why would you need to with that? Like, you're just putting it out there. Just remaster it. Get it to work on modern controllers and modern systems. It's not that time consuming, surely, for a company like EA. It can't be that time consuming. And just put it out there. It's just something that's out there then will make money. You can sell it. It doesn't take away from making it. Look, it doesn't take away from the other main stuff that they do. It's not taking away from that, is it? Is what I'm saying. So, just do it, guys. Just get it out there. Make yourself a few bob. And, you know, the gamers will love you for it. They'll love you for it. Imagine a Road Rash collection and Strike collection coming out from EA. Doesn't even need to be a physical release. In this day and age, that necessarily wouldn't be a clever idea. But can you imagine how excited people would be? People would be going nuts for that stuff. They'd be going crazy. Like I say, it's easy money. It's right there on the table. Easy money. I think, like, some of these games came out on PC anyway. So it's only a case of adapting them to work on modern systems. I know there was a Road Rash game on PC. The one that came out on PlayStation, the first one. the one that had the music from Soundgarden. Now that might be your issue, but just take that bit out. Just take that bit out of the game. Replace the soundtrack with a generic one, or get the licenses sorted again if you will. But if you didn't want to do that, just do that. It's simple, isn't it? The music, the in-game music for Road Rash wasn't licensed music. And if you did the Mega Drive one, there's no licensed music in that anyway. Because EA hired Rob Hubbard to do it. I think he did it with somebody, I might have done it with somebody else, but I mean, it was Rob Hubbard, whose name I remember, on the Mega Drive version of the game. I mean, even if that was an issue, they released the Road Rash collection on the PSP a few years ago. They had Road Rash, and they had Desert Strike and Jungle Strike and Urban Strike. I think it was the Mega Drive, I don't know what it was called, but it had the 16-bit Road Rashes and the 16-bit Strike games on it, and they did change the music in Road Rash. They did update the music. So even if there was a licensed issue with the Rob Hubbard stuff, well, there's no excuse, because you've already changed it and you adapted it to work on a PSP. I'm trying to think what else they had. They had loads. Yeah, they had mountains of the stuff available. Loads of old games. And they're saying they're not the only one. Activision, come on guys, you're owned by Microsoft now. Why aren't you putting out the classic stuff? Okay, some of your licensed stuff, Ghostbusters, stuff like that, I understand. That's not easy to do because of licenses. That's the subject of another video, by the way. I think licenses should be permanent, attached to a particular game. I don't think it should expire. If Sega can't do remasters, if Sega, can't re-release Outrun on their collections because of a license with Ferrari, well, no, I don't have it. Not having it. That's already been bought and paid. Oh, it's pretty good that they've cleared a nice little pathway through here now, so people don't slip on the leaves. Hopefully this, can't do anything about this big puddle here, but hopefully it'll start to dry up a bit, but at least it has a better chance of drying up. Let's see how deep we're talking here. It's not too, well, let's get a bit further in. Yeah, it's not too bad. It stands a better chance of drying up now the leaves are not trapping it. That's much better now. But yeah, it drives me mad. Anyway, have a fair amount of editing to do, I think, with this video today. I think we'll call it for today. Hope I've answered the question okay. Certainly to the best of my ability, because like I say, it's quite a tricky one. These things often are subject to moving goalposts, and that's never fun. Yeah, tomorrow's Saturday, so there'll be no Walkie Talkie then. Back on with the Sunday stroll, provided we're not got gale force winds and driving rain, and they ain't being dragged off to the land of Oz. So we'll call it there. You guys have a marvellous day, have a marvellous weekend, and all things being equal, I will see you on Sunday. So I'll catch you then.